If you're ready to leave the United States and you're considering dual citizenship in Africa, I'm going to break down about 20 countries that I've looked at. We're going to look at the cost, how the DNA testing works, and which countries are the easiest to apply to. First, let me clear up some misconceptions. Despite what you might have heard, Africa doesn't have programs that if you get a DNA test, you automatically get citizenship. The reality is more complex, but there are definitely pathways to get you dual citizenship in Africa. I'm going to break down these options by difficulty. Ghana is by far the most accessible option through their Right of Abode program and Year of Return initiative. They don't require DNA tests, but you'll need to provide documentation on your Ghana ancestry. The process costs between $400 to $1,200 US, and there's no specific generation limit on how far back you can go. The process is relatively straightforward compared to other countries. Uganda is another good option. Since 2009, they've allowed dual citizenship and have a specific registration process for people of African descent. The cost ranges from $500 to $1,000 and the difficulty level is moderate. You don't need a DNA test, but you will need to register as a person of African descent. Sierra Leone allows dual citizenship and has specific policies for descendants of freed slaves who returned to Africa. The cost is higher, around $2,500 to $5,000, but they do have investment options available. There are several countries that fall into the moderate difficulty category, including South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and Senegal. All of these countries allow dual citizenship and don't require DNA tests, but you'll need documentary evidence of your ancestry. South Africa's process costs about $100 to $300, and Kenya's ranges from $500 to $1,000. Rwanda is one of the more affordable options at $250 to $500. For all these countries, you'll need to work through their immigration departments, and some may require residency periods. The challenge with these countries is proving your ancestral connection. This is where many African Americans fall into difficulties because of gaps in documentation from the slavery era. Now let's talk about countries where dual citizenship is either very difficult or impossible. Ethiopia, Tanzania, Liberia, Namibia, Cameroon, and Zambia don't allow dual citizenship at all. This means that you would have to renounce your American citizenship to become a citizen of these countries. Egypt technically allows dual citizenship but requires ministerial approval beforehand, making it very difficult for non-Egyptians. Now let's talk about the DNA testing. Despite what you may think, commercial DNA tests like Ancestry DNA or 23andMe aren't typically accepted as legal proof for citizenship applications. These tests can tell you regional ancestry like West African, but they can't definitively prove for legal purposes what specific country that you're from. Instead, documentary evidence like family records, historical documents, and in some cases, oral histories are more important. So what should you do if you're serious about pursuing dual citizenship? First, research your family history as thoroughly as possible. Try to narrow down the region your ancestors came from. Second, consider Ghana as your first option because of their specific programs for the diaspora. Third, be prepared for a lengthy process. This isn't something that happens in weeks or even months. Sometimes it takes a year or longer. Fourth, you want to make sure you are budgeting accordingly. Beyond application fees, you may need to travel to the country, hire legal help, translate documents, and possibly even invest in that country. And finally, you can connect with others who've been through this process by joining online communities. These communities will share advice and they'll share their experience and a lot of times give you tips that you didn't even think of. Reclaiming your African citizenship isn't easy, but for many, it's a profound journey of reconnection. Whether you're looking for a place to retire, start a business, or simply reconnect with your ancestral homeland, I hope this gives you a realistic picture of what's possible. In my bio, I have a link to the Google Sheet. I've put together roughly 20 countries of a lot of information and kind of points you on what you would need to do that for that country, as well as some links to looking at the information yourself.